In today's episode of the Pathway Presents podcast, I have an interesting guest here with me today. I'm with Biswajit, who is heading over as the CEO for Coastr. And those guys having a very interesting technology. Essentially, what they're doing, they're an award-winning vehicle rental software and keep on building out this experience as a very digital-driven and data-driven process. So today, we're going to be, looking into the ins and outs of Coastr. And Biswajit, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Lucas. I really appreciate the invite. Looking forward to an exciting session.
Awesome. Maybe give us that 360 overview. What is the company all about?
So Coastr is born out of the desire to improve the vehicle rental experience for both customers and also solve some of the systemic issues going on in the sector through technology. And as a technologist myself and also quite a regular user of car rentals, we came up with this idea that if we were to build something which a car rental operator could consume and help them transform and digitize their business, it would ultimately improve their customer experience and customer service. So that's what kind of Coastr is all about, providing innovation and innovative technologies to the vehicle rental sector and allow it to be more future ready.
Makes a whole lot of sense. Is that sort of more like individual rental companies? Is that chains? Like, who do you guys are working with?
Yeah, so our primary customer segment is what we call as the independent car rental operators in the market. A large proportion of them obviously don't have in-house technology teams to build systems and solutions. So that's where Coastr can really help, because with that kind of combined effort and focus on innovation, we can provide them with the much needed state-of-the-art technology that they require for delivering better experience to their customers.
Makes complete sense. Who would be typically raising their hand within those independent rental companies? Is that sort of like a business owner, CEO that says, hey, we need to digitalize our processes? Or is that somebody in operations that says, hey, we cannot handle this anymore here with like spreadsheets? What's typically who's raising their hand?
It is a very interesting question, because I think when we talk about our customers, the independent rental operators, there are different sizes of them. It could be someone, a small business with 50 vehicles, probably run by one or two individuals, the owners being quite hands-on as well. Alternatively, there could be a slightly little bit volume players with over kind of 1,000 to up to 10,000 vehicles, with a little bit larger operational team behind them. And most of the time, I think the issues are very, very similar, and that's why I alluded to the fact that we are trying to solve some of the systemic issues around inefficiencies. Lots of manual processes, lots of paper being used in the process as well, data being all over the place. And often where they do use systems or technologies, a lot of the systems being used in this industry are quite archaic. They've not seen a lot of innovation and development over a period. So that's kind of what we are trying to really address. And our users can be from the MDs and the owners of the business to the fleet owners who run the operations on a day-to-day basis. We pretty much speak with everyone in our engagement.
So these different types of, let's say, call them personas or individuals that are finding you guys, like, can you describe a little bit their journey? How do they get to know Coastr? Like, what sort of, or in other words, what are sort of the key client acquisition channels that you guys are leveraging?
We are at the moment obviously focused quite a lot on the UK market, because the UK market is quite matured in the rental operations. There are loads of car rental businesses as well, new and kind of been around for a while. Most of the time, I think they find us, if they have to find us online, our social media channels are quite active. We promote ourselves quite heavily as people who are innovative, and we are thinking about solving problems for the rental operators. So that demography of customers is increasing, where they are reaching out to us directly. There's also word of mouth, because obviously, as we have penetrated into this market and showing the value of our relationship, the innovation and the technology. A lot of our current customers and prospective customers are talking about us. And some of the distinctiveness about Coastr is not just the technology and our forward thinking, but also our ability to really listen to our customers, work with them, co-create with them. And they really enjoy that because for the first time, probably they feel like, it's a partnership. Whereas if you're just buying software from another competitor or a vendor, the experience is slightly different. So we try and encourage that quite a lot within the culture. All of our teams, starting from technology teams to sales teams, marketing teams, we regularly converse with customers to make them feel like we are giving them a full partnership experience. And finally, there's a lot of work going on in the direct sales lead generation side of things as well, where we have organically, inorganically generated a lot of kind of leads, which are then targeted through email campaigns or other types of marketing campaigns, which then are followed up through kind of the sales team.
Gotcha. Very cool. Super interesting. So I would be curious about one thing, right? You mentioned digital is becoming more important as a growth channel for you guys. As a CEO, what's your perspective on the website? Like, where do you sort of see the strengths and the weaknesses? I love to ask CEOs that question because sometimes they wouldn't be necessarily working like all day on the website. They would be a bit more removed, but I'm curious about your perspective.
For me, I think the website is only a part of the bigger piece of puzzle. So as a SaaS company, I think one of our biggest goals is to be able to offer a seamless customer journey for our prospective customers who can come into our website, learn about the product, learn about the USP and the company, sign up to our let's say our platform, try it out, learn about the product again through a slightly more deeper engagement with the platform, and then make an informed decision to become a paid customer. Mm-hmm. And that's what we are heavily focused on in increasing further, because that's how we want to scale. Trying to scale through direct sales efforts it takes forever, and it's a long journey. So for us, we believe the faster way to scale, and especially to also acquire new markets, international markets, would be through digital acquisition of customers, focusing on our efforts on the website, online e-commerce journeys, and also how we create a much more smooth onboarding journey to our customers.
Gotcha. Very cool. You as a CEO, like, how deep would you be involved with this? Is that something where you have, your specialists working in, or is that something where you even take your conversations maybe with clients and bring that back into the conversation? How deep would you be involved in that?
I mean, personally, if you ask me how I like to operate, I like my fingers in all pies, to be honest, because I do enjoy it quite a lot. But at the same time, I think there's quite a good amount of delegation, and I have a really strong team with their own individual kind of focus areas. So they handle all the day-to-day kind of decision making, and it's quite a delegated environment. But I do like getting involved in all aspects of conversations with customers, conversations on product, even on the marketing side. So it's quite ingrained in me as a CEO, I would say.
It's probably never going to get out of you. No matter how big the company is going to get, it's still going to be sometimes jumping there. Very cool. I want to switch gears a little bit and actually touch on that point that you just described, that as a CEO, in a way there can be a lot of like detailed work what you can do, but obviously all the strategical part as well. Like, what I'm curious is, there's so much content out there on how to steer a company, how to grow the company, how to manage a company. Like, what content do you consume? Like, where do you still think, okay, there's content that actually adds value to my journey as a CEO?
It's a really good question, because to be honest, you are rightly kind of putting it out. There's too much content, right? And often you're almost being there's an overflow of content, and you don't know what's good, what's bad. I think for me personally, again, as a CEO, I like to hear it from other people's experiences. So I think what works for me is less about the content and going and reading it, but actually creating a network around me of peers and advisors or people who have been through this journey and learning from them, because that's much more practical and you can get a real sense of some of the challenges that they have overcome through, and also kind of the where they have seen failures. Whereas if you purely just look at content online, sometimes they focus more on the success stories and all the positive aspects. No one really likes to talk about the failures. So I would really encourage others, CEOs and leaders who are looking for such experiences. The best way to do is find peers in the industry and go and talk to them, because everyone's probably going through the same experience and someone has found a solution out of it.
Very cool. Since we're slowly approaching the end of the interview, I would love to jump into our rapid fire questions. Are you ready for those?
Let me try.
Very good. What is the last book you read?
Just last week.
Which one?
It's a fiction novel written by one of my kind of close friends, you could say. So I'm not going to name the book, if that's okay.
Sure. What's one single thing that your company is focused on the most at the moment?
Right now, I think we are heavily focused on how we work with partners. So there's a big focus on building out the ecosystem and our partnerships in the market. We are working with some really exciting partnerships right now.
If there would be no boundaries in tech, what's the one thing you would fix for your role today?
Sorry, would you mind repeating that question for me?
Yeah, sure. Everything is possible in tech, right? No boundaries anymore. What would you fix for your role?
I think how I can reduce my meetings.
Makes a lot of sense. And last question would be, if today would be your very first day working on the company, right?
Sorry, Lucas, your audio is going off a bit.
Sorry for that. If today would be your very first day joining the company, what's the one advice you would give yourself?
I would say keeping an open mind is extremely important. If it's your first day, and learning about the culture and the people would be the most important thing for me.
Awesome. Really, really good. Yeah, I mean, I really appreciate you taking the time with us today and bringing us through the world of Coastr. I want to give you the very last word. If somebody would be forgetting all that we discussed today, what's the one thing that they should remember about Coastr?
Innovation, because that's kind of what we are all about. Coastr culture is all about being at the forefront, and hopefully we'll be able to prove that into the world by showing how the force of innovation can change people's behaviors and lives.
Very, very cool. So Biswajit, thanks a lot for being a part of Platform Presents today and being our guest on today's episode.
Thank you very much, Lucas. Much appreciate the time.